Germany was reunited almost 34 years ago. Europe has undergone a process of consolidation behind the EU. Among the countries that had their borders altered after World War II, the Koreas remain divided despite several factors like common blood, language and culture, and a few failed attempts at confidence building. It is not that these two countries don't have reunification as a goal. They do, but on their own terms. Is the North Korean nuclear and military program something that can achieve this goal? Unlikely. Is its reversal possible? Unlikely. Is the increased use of cyber attacks a new age war? Hello and welcome. I'm Mark Lin and you're watching Connecting the Dots. What's at play in the Korean Peninsula? Let's delve into where this conflict is going. North Korean hackers stole sensitive data, including individuals' financial records, from a South Korean court computer network. This happened over a 2-year period, but the information has just been brought to light this month. North Korea has nuclear weapons and is reported to have thousands of hackers operating both inside and outside the largely isolated country. It has been blamed for major cyber attacks in the past. In the attack, the hackers stole 1,014 gigabytes of data from a court's computer system from January 2021 to February 2023. According to the South Korean National Police, the hackers' malware transmitted stolen data, including South Koreans' marriage and personal debt records, to 4 domestic and 4 overseas servers before it was finally detected by antivirus software. The data breach was found to be the work of a North Korean hacking outfit after authorities compared the detected malicious programs, server payment details and IP addresses with those identified in earlier hacking cases by Pyongyang. The South was able to get back just 4.7 gigabytes of the stolen data, which amounted to 5,171 documents. They related to personal debt, rehabilitation cases, including marriage certificates and statements about debt and reasons for insolvency. So one can imagine the volume of data breached if we put into context the other 1,010 GB that was not recovered. The North, according to analysts, uses cyber attacks to earn hard foreign currency after being at the receiving end of UN sanctions over its nuclear and missile programs. The US, Japan and South Korea have put the figure at $1.7 billion worth of stolen cryptocurrency by Pyongyang in 2022 alone. The data gathered also aids further attacks. In February, Seoul's spy agency said that North Korean spies were using LinkedIn to pose as recruiters and entice South Koreans working at defense companies so the spies could access information on the firm's technology. North Korea's cyber program dates back to at least the mid-1990s, but has since grown to a 6,000-strong cyber warfare unit known as the Bureau 121 that operates from several countries including Belarus, China, Malaysia and Russia. The Korean Peninsula was a single nation until it was annexed by Japan in 1910, marking the end of over 6 centuries of rule under the Joseon dynasty. The Japanese controlled the peninsula until World War II ended in 1945, after which it was transformed. The changes and challenges went on to shape Korea's modern trajectory. The peninsula was partitioned into North Korea, officially known as the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, the DPRK, and South Korea, recognized as the Republic of Korea, or the ROK, in 1948. The subsequent Korean War lasted 3 years, concluding with an armistice in 1953, although a formal peace treaty was never signed. Since the 1970s, both nations have had informal diplomatic dialogue to ease military tensions. In 2000, President Kim Dae-jung became the first South Korean president to visit North Korea, leading to the adoption of the Sunshine Policy for peaceful relations. It sought to build trust, reduce tensions, and promote peaceful coexistence on the Korean Peninsula. Subsequent presidents continued dialogue, but the policy faced criticism and was discontinued. Under President Moon Jae-in, the relations improved significantly, and in the 2018 Winter Olympics, we saw North Korea's participation and the signing of the Panmunjom Declaration. However, negotiations stalled in 2020 and relations seem to have taken a turn for the worse in recent times. Now, personhood is a concept in philosophy that implies humans are uniquely capable of resolving conflict through reason. Violence begins when reason ends. There are various theories as to why there is conflict, but from a humanist point of view, conflict occurs when the I is unable to understand the you or the other, what we loosely call us versus them. While this is a definition of conduct at the individual level, similar views can be expressed at the nation-state level. So taking this template to the Korean Peninsula, let us examine it from the point of view of the conflict resolution. The state of the relationship is called negative peace. Peace simply is the absence of war, and negative peace is actually nearly war. This is the situation before the escalation ladder begins. North Korea's aims regarding South Korea have been shaped by a complex mix of historical, political, ideological and security factors. North Korea has a goal of reunification, but under its leadership, it sees reunification as a process where it absorbs South Korea rather than a peaceful coexistence of the two equal states. It is going about this by trying to reduce South Korea's alignment with the United States and the West. It wants to increase its own political influence in the region and diminish the presence of the United States' forces in South Korea. Interestingly, the North Korean regime uses anti-South Korean rhetoric and propaganda to bolster its own domestic legitimacy. Painting South Korea as a puppet of the West. North Korea's nuclear program is a significant factor in its approach to South Korea. The regime sees nuclear capabilities as a deterrent against potential military action or regime change by outside powers. But what could work for both is that the North requires to have better relations with the South to gain much needed international recognition.
얼마 전 장쾌한 발사사실로 적들이 위대한 전승 이른돌세의 무기와 의미를 그 예지롭고 옥세인 향도의 손길이 없었다면
South Korea, on the other hand, seeks lasting peace and stability on the Korean Peninsula. This includes efforts to reduce tensions, mitigate the risk of conflict, and promote dialogue and reconciliation between the two Koreas. It supports the complete, verifiable, and irreversible denuclearization of North Korea. It seeks to achieve this through diplomatic means, through various channels such as, inter-Korean summits, diplomatic talks, economic cooperation, and cultural exchanges. These efforts aim to build trust, foster understanding, and promote peaceful relations between the two countries. South Korea provides humanitarian aid to North Korea, including food, medical supplies, and other necessities, especially during times of crisis, such as natural disasters or food shortages. South Korea sees potential economic benefits in improving relations with North Korea, including opportunities for trade, investment, infrastructure development, and joint projects. South Korea has a strong interest in facilitating family reunions for separated families divided by the Korean War. It also promotes cultural exchange programs, sports diplomacy, and people-to-people contacts to bridge the divide between the two societies and promote mutual understanding. Now, back in 2017, a unification perception survey was conducted by the Seoul National University's Institute for Peace and Unification Studies. It found that 24.7% of South Koreans don't think unification is possible, but that 53.8% believe that reunification is necessary. So, is it moving towards a suitable resolution? A suitable resolution for North Korea would be that they overpower South Korea by force. A suitable resolution for South Korea is to use its economic heft to influence world decisions and provide opportunities to the North, because the economic inequality is already a victory for the ROK without war. However, as is appearing the case, the North has become a client state of China. Then, South Korea's new adversary is actually indirectly China. South Korea's Foreign Minister Cho Tae-yul said the countries needed to keep up momentum on operation and carefully manage ties. The 13th of May 2024 marked the first visit to Beijing by a South Korean foreign minister in more than 6 years. Cho also asked for China's cooperation so North Korean defectors in China could go to their desired destinations without being forcibly repatriated to North Korea by Beijing. Now, during the Korean War of 1950 to 53, Chung Ju-young fled to South Korea along with many other refugees. Now, after arriving in South Korea, he founded the Hyundai Group, which has grown into one of South Korea's largest conglomerates with interests in various industries such as construction, automobile manufacturing, shipbuilding and electronics. He's not a defector in the traditional sense of the word, but his entrepreneurial ventures in South Korea provide a signal to the possibilities for cooperation between the two Koreas. The prospects of a Korean reunification have been a topic of interest for decades. It remains complex, but several scenarios could lead to reunification. One is joint efforts by both countries, by both governments to work towards reunification. And two is that the current North Korean leadership comes to an end without a proper succession plan. Well, I hope we do see the end of the conflict in our lifetime. It is what Koreans on both sides want deep down. But for the moment, these scenarios are not on the horizon. Imagine controlling your computer just with your thoughts. Yes, you think it and it's done. Well, that's no more science fiction. Meet Noland or Borg. In 2016, our Borg met with an accident in the United States. He suffered a severe spinal cord injury that left him paralyzed from the shoulders down. 8 years passed. In February 2024, Orberg caught the attention of the world. The reason? Neuralink. Now, the billionaire, Elon Musk's startup Neuralink, implanted a chip in Orberg's brain. Now, what was this chip about? The chip allows a patient to use their thoughts to control a computer. Neuralink's implants work by embedding a small container in the skull. It contains a processing chip and battery along with 64 fine threads that connect with brain tissue and interact with the neural signals it sends out. The chip was surgically placed using a robot in the part of the brain that controls movement. And the idea was to create a brain-computer interface so that people can control a computer cursor or keyboard using their thoughts. On the screen, you can see how Orberg is moving the cursor just by his thoughts. He is even playing online games like chess through his mind, thanks to the brain-computer interface. Things were going normally, but then came the glitch. After a few weeks of the brain implant, Neuralink scientists noticed that some of the chip's threads started detaching from the brain tissue. As a result, the device's functionality began to decrease. However, Neuralink said it resolved the issue. Neuralink is currently working on enhancing text entry and cursor control for its device. The company's long-term vision is to enable users to control physical devices like robotic arms and wheelchairs. Before we move further, let's get a quick rundown on what Neuralink is all about. Neuralink is a neurotech company founded by Elon Musk and a team of 7 experts in neuroscience, biochemistry and robotics back in 2016. They set out to create a device that can insert super thin threads into the brain, pick up signals and create a brain-computer interface. Sounds cool, right? But here's the thing. The human brain is crazy complex. We're talking 100 billion neurons, each connecting with over 1,000 others, with electrical impulses flying around at lightning speed. It's a daunting task. Initially, Neuralink planned to start human testing in 2020, but that got pushed back to 2023. The US Food and Drug Administration gave them the green light for human trials in September 2023. Before Neuralink implanted its tech in humans, they spent years testing it on animals like sheep, pigs and monkeys. But regulators started investigating their animal testing labs, and earlier this year they found some issues with quality control and record keeping at the facility. Neuralink was valued at a whopping $5 billion last year. The company has been bragging about the success of their first implant, calling themselves the top player in brain chip tech. But despite the hype, the device is still in its infancy, and the company's latest reveal highlights just how untested and complex this experimental procedure really is. Neuralink hopes to implant their device in more people. However, technical issues and FDA approval remain hurdles, but Neuralink is not alone in this space. For instance, Australian neurotech startup Synchron, backed by Bill Gates and Jeff Bezos, has already implanted its device in 10 people and recently launched a patient registry in preparation for a larger clinical trial. The sharp contrast with Synchron's device is that it does not require a cut in the skull to install its implant. Its stent-like device is inserted through the patient's blood vessels. The device allows people with limited physical mobility to operate technology like smart home devices and cursors with their mind. Companies in this field are all working towards a similar goal: to capture brain signals and transmit them into action or even speech. Experts say the more electrodes are inserted into the brain, the more complex and risky the surgery becomes. But the upside is that they can pick up more precise brain signals, which could potentially enable devices to decipher speech. That's exactly what companies like Neuralink are aiming for: to capture high-quality brain activity that could make their devices super accurate and powerful. So it's a delicate balance between risk and reward. China is also making moves in the brain-computer interface space, and it's getting competitive with the West. But what's more concerning is China's focus on developing non-invasive BCIs for the general population, not just medical patients. Now it's raising some questions about what this tech could mean for society. Most importantly, there is no clear information on how users can control their personal data and brain activity. That's a major red flag. It means people's privacy could be at risk, and their brain chip could be used to spy on them. It's like, what if someone can access your thoughts without your consent? Now, brain-computer interfaces hold immense potential for people with paralysis or other disabilities. However, the technology is still in its infancy, and there are significant challenges to overcome, both technical and ethical. The future of mind-machine connection is here, but will it be a revolution for humanity or a dystopian nightmare? That's all in this edition of Connecting the Dots. We will see you next week with more raging issues. Until then, it's goodbye from all of us here in the Delhi newsroom. Take care and stay safe.